Welcome to Beyond Your Balance Sheet from the Sedora Group of Steward Partners Global Advisory. I'm Laura Knoy. The Sedora Group sponsors this program as part of its larger goal to help clients achieve more fulfilling lives, both financially and personally. In each episode, we look beyond financial health toward overall well-being, including our physical and mental health and the health of our relationships. Today, the search for an Encore career, why many Americans are choosing this path instead of traditional retirement. Our guest is Christina Fitzpatrick, New Hampshire State Director of AARP. She's worked for the organization for many years, mostly in the national office in Washington, D.C., where she focused on public policy issues. About a year ago, Christina came to New Hampshire to run the state organization. And Christina, a big welcome to you to Beyond Your Balance Sheet. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'm glad to be here.
So how do you define an Encore career?
An Encore career is something that people take on late in their careers. So they're ready to try something new. And often they want to do something that has real social purpose and a really meaningful job to them that they can feel good about while still making some money and just making a change in their work lives.
So they're motivated by needing to make a little money, Christina, but also wanting to do something perhaps more meaningful than their former career?
Yeah, and people have many, many different reasons for shifting late in their careers to doing something else. So we know some people have to make a change. You know, they were let go from their previous job, or their industry was going away. I mean, there are lots of reasons why somebody might need to make a shift. We know that we did a survey and we found that 40% of older workers had some kind of work disruption in the previous 5 years. So something happened and they need to make a change. And sometimes that's a really major change, and sometimes they're just shifting. But other people, they get to later in their careers and they want to do something different. You know, maybe they're just tired of doing what they're doing. Maybe they have a job that's really demanding, really stressful, a lot of hours, and they just want to take a step back and have better work-life balance. Maybe they're tired of working for somebody who's, they're tired of not having autonomy, and they really want to be able to direct what they're doing, how they're spending their time when they're working. Different hours, different days of the week. And so there's some push and pull here. But a lot of people, they want to do something else. They want to just do something that is more meaningful to them and has a better impact on the world.
Oh, that's interesting. So lots of emotional reasons and sort of social reasons. But at the beginning, you also mentioned that 40% of people have to do what you could call an Encore career because they were downsized, their industry went away. So for financial reasons, Christina, and I'm wondering how the changes we've seen in the way that retirements are funded, you know, no more nice, cushy pensions that you can count on. How have those changes affected the way that people view Encore careers?
Yeah, so in the past, there were a lot of people who had a pension from their employers. And what that translated into is a steady stream of monthly income that they could count on. So between that and Social Security, they had a lot of certainty about what their monthly income was going to be. Now that most employers don't offer a pension, people are more responsible for their own retirement income. So they need to spend time during their working years saving, so that they can, when they get to retirement age, they have a good nest egg that they can fall back on to supplement their Social Security benefits. But then it's a stressful thing that you have to manage that money, and you have to manage the withdrawal of that money because you want to make it last, but you also want to make sure that you can enjoy your life when you decided that it's time to step back from work and enter that next phase of your life. So often people want to work longer so that they can delay when they draw down their savings, because the people are living longer for the most part, not everybody, but in general, People are spending more time in what's traditionally thought of as retirement years, and they're worried about their finances and trying to make sure that their money lasts.
Yeah, so real financial reasons for choosing an Encore career. So it's good for your financial health. What about our mental health, our emotional health, Christina? How do people find that Encore careers help with that?
It can be really challenging to go from working a full-time job and maybe something that's really demanding and maybe fulfilling also, but really demanding. It fills your life. It's a big part of your identity. And if you were to go from that, so working 40, 50 hours a week and always focus, like that's the big part of your Monday through Friday. And then you go from that to nothing, like you're just going to wake up on Monday morning and have to figure out how to fill your day. That can be a real challenge. It's something
It's a
that
big drop off, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead.
it is. And some people that they love it and they know how they're going to fill their time, and they have a good social network and they have a sense of purpose. And so that's great. But some people, they can really struggle. And so an Encore career can be a way to kind of transition so that you are stepping back from what you've been doing, you find something else to do that you like, and maybe you're not working 40 or 50 hours a week, you're working 20 hours a week, so that you have time to do the things that you find that you enjoy and spend time with the people that you like, but then also have this other outlet that can help you, give you a sense of purpose, keep you interacting with people, and just slowly transition rather than going from full on to nothing.
Yeah, to jumping off the cliff, so to speak. How has the pandemic, Christina, affected the way that Americans view Encore careers? There's been a huge shift in how we work, where we work, when we work, why we work.
Yeah. So, obviously the pandemic was a huge disruptor for all of us, and a very scary time, especially in the beginning. And people had real fears about their health. So a lot of people stepped back. There were a lot of older workers who decided, I can't do this job. Like, I can't do it remotely. Or I can't do it remotely. And so I'm gonna quit my job and stay home and manage. But it also opened up some possibilities where things that people didn't think were possible before were now possible. That so many people who have a desk job and spend their lives on their computers, they could do that remotely. And it was okay. It was okay that we weren't all in the office. We could still be productive. And 5 years ago, the CEO of AARP would not have thought that having people working from home 2 days a week was possible. So a lot of people took a step back and reevaluated their lives. How do they want to be spending their time? And both in terms of how much they're working, but what they're spending their time on. So it really gave, I think, a lot of people just a chance to reflect and adjust their lives. And Encore careers could be part of that.
What are some of your favorite examples of Encore careers? I'm guessing you have a lot.
I do. There are so many great examples, and there's a lot on the web. If you search like great second careers, Encore careers, there are a bunch of stories out there. My favorite one is about the founder of AARP. She is a woman named Ethel Percy Andrus, and she was a teacher and a principal. She was like one of the first women in Los Angeles to be the principal of a school. And when she retired, she was, the story goes, that she was visiting one of her former teachers, so somebody who worked for her, and went to go visit and found her living in a chicken coop. Because,
oh my goodness.
She was living in a chicken coop, abject poverty, because she had retired from teaching and didn't have a pension, didn't have what she needed to survive. And from that experience and from talking to other retired teachers, she saw a need, and she was determined to address it. So she founded the National Retired Teachers Association, and then 10 years later founded AARP. And the whole purpose was to help people age with dignity. And one of the remarkable things is, way back then, so this we're talking about in the 50s, people were having trouble affording their medications. And she created the first mail order pharmacy to try to get people the medicines they needed at an affordable price. And so she was just so innovative and so committed. And she did all this after age 60. And so she's a wonderful model. It's kind of, something that's hard to live up to, but a great story. He has something we call the Purpose Prize, that is a $50,000 award for people who have arrived at the second part of their career and use the experience they have to address a social problem. They've founded a nonprofit and are making the world a better place. And they're wonderful stories there of people. Again, the one that comes to mind is one who was a teacher and saw what was happening with girls, that they weren't having the confidence to go into and do well in math and science and things like that. So she left her career working in schools as teacher and a principal and things, and founded an organization that's focused on girls and their ability and confidence to engage with STEM courses, so science and technology, engineering, math, to make a world a better place that way. And there are other examples, like those are kind of, those are high-minded things I super admire, but seem a little, maybe not something that's attainable, but there are lots
or
of
a lot of work.
Yeah. But I saw one story that was about a man who was doing, he was a lab tech in hazardous waste management. And he just decided one day, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a nurse. And so he applied to nursing school. He got in, he did it. And one of his pieces of advice to people is that not to underestimate how your skills that you have are transferable. And he gave the example of the circulatory system, and that the heart is a pump. And that in his lab tech hazardous waste days, he worked with pumps all the time. And so he had an understanding of valves and pumps and pressure and things like that are directly relevant to this health context. I love reading these stories. It's wonderful to see people make a big change later in life. And that's part of what we want to convey to people, is that to have confidence in yourself and it's easy to say, oh, I'm too old to make a change, but you're not. You just have to want it, and there are ways to go about it.
I love those stories, especially Ethel. My goodness, the founder of AARP, a huge organization that has, millions of members and lots of recognition and impact. It was an Encore career. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story.
Well, what advice do you have, Christina, for someone who wants to start an Encore career? Maybe they don't necessarily want to, start a new organization like Ethel did, or start their own company, but they want to dip their toes into the workforce. What sort of advice do you have for them?
One thing that's important to recognize is that the job search process has changed a lot. And people need to learn about it and learn how to adjust. So for example, a lot of companies will use a resume screening tool to pull out resumes that they think are interesting and might be good fits. And so it's important to know that those kinds of systems that they use are looking for keywords. So you'd want to adjust your resume. So you read the job description and you see what they're asking for, and then you use some of those same words in your resume. And then your resume is more likely to be pulled and scanned and maybe moved on to an interview. And there are tips and tricks like that are easily available. AARP has some websites about that, but there's other sources of information. So you need to be smart about that and understand how the job search process has changed. You also need to understand that age discrimination is still alive and well. And so you need to anticipate that. And there are ways that we talk about age-proofing your resume or age-proofing your interview skills. And people have misconceptions about older workers, like think they don't want to learn new things, for example. So if you're interviewing, you probably want to drop in some examples of ways in which you have learned new things and that you like to learn new things. So those are some of the big things I would say, is you need to understand what the job market is like now and adjust in kind so that you show up well for potential employers.
And what about those folks who maybe do want to take that big leap, Christina, and start an organization or start their own little company? What sorts of things do those people need to think about as they possibly embark on an Encore career?
Yeah, because sometimes you want to do something different, but you don't know what that thing is. So it's great to reflect on what brings you joy. What when you look at other people, what do you find admirable? What do you like doing? Your hobbies, your interests, and talk to your friends and family, and they can help you figure out what that spark might be, and help you understand what transferable skills you have. They can help you think about what kinds of possibilities there might be. So maybe you want to do something different. Maybe there's an opportunity in your company so that you can kind of shift what you're doing. Maybe there are skills that you can easily use in a different kind of setting. And then I think the most important thing anybody can do when you're looking for a job or looking to shift is just talking to people, because they can give you a different perspective. They can give you information, like they heard about somebody who's trying to do something similar and connect you. So that's that kind of networking, whether it's formal or informal, is just invaluable.
Old-fashioned networking. That
Yeah,
advice never changes, does it?
exactly.
Well, Christina, it's really been great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a wonderful time to spend with you.
That's Christina Fitzpatrick, New Hampshire State Director of AARP. She's been in that job for about a year. Before that, she worked at the organization's national office, focusing on public policy issues. Beyond Your Balance Sheet is sponsored by the Sedora Group of Steward Partners Global Advisory. And I'm Laura Knoy. Thanks very much, everyone, for being with us.